Now let's get to the bombshell. Rat bastard. I don't know why Suge ever trusted this nigga. Right? So I intentionally, I intent initially was to all go. Wait, I need to read the rat part again. So our intent initially was to all go in through the back gate, a private entry, the back where they have motorhomes and where the artists come out, like their little dressing rooms and stuff like that. And very limited parking space. But I got a heads up and I played a little double agent that day that they were planning on being disruptive at the awards show. This rat bastard. Right? Y'all call that a double agent or y'all call that a rat? Anyone? You call that a double agent or you call that a rat? I think Suge will call that a rat. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll move on. And by they, you mean the members of the Pyrus who were showing up or planning on showing up at the Soul Train Awards? Yeah, with us, with Death Row Record, with the Death Row Record label. Yes, sir. And so I knew the head of security at the shrine, and I tipped him off, rat bastard, right? I tipped him off to what was about to happen and to only allow a limited amount of people in which they did. And so who was allowed in through the artist entrance or the back entrance? Mr. Knight, Mr. Shakur, and he had about 3 or 4 members of the Outlaws, which would be Edie, Malcolm Green, I believe, Malcolm Greenwich, and 2 other members. And there was a singing artist by the name of Danny Boy. They were in the Hummer. Mr. Knight, they were in the Hummer with Mr. Knight. Myself and Frank Alexander, which was Mr. Shakur's primary security, was trailing behind them, and I was riding in the passenger seat of Mr. Alexander's vehicle. I'm going to fast forward in this event a little bit. At some point, there was a confrontation between Death Row and Bad Boy Records, right? During or backstage of the show. Yes, sir. So what happened was like I said, they elected to have Biggie Smalls or Mr. Wallace perform, and they were leaving. They were planning on leaving probably because they knew that Death Row was coming. I don't know, but they were planning on leaving. You don't know, but they were planning on leaving. How the hell you would know they were leaving or not? As we were going into the auditorium or exiting our vehicles to go into the auditorium, they were coming out. So I guess it was bad timing, and then there were an argument that followed with a little gunplay or a pointing. Here we go. This is the bombshell, y'all. So who was the argument between? Mr. Shakur was the most vocal, Mr. Wallace, and then his entourage. And when you speak about Mr. Wallace's entourage there, were there any members? You had mentioned either earlier, Southside Crips have been doing security for Bad Boy. Were there any members of the Southside Crips with Mr. Wallace during this incident? Yes. There were approximately 10 to 15 gentlemen that were exiting, and I noticed about 8 to 10, maybe 9 that I know from the city of Compton, from my law enforcement days. And I did notice one particular individual. And one particular individual, who did you notice? Mr. Keefe D. Davis or Dwayne Davis. Now, I want y'all to show why my audience is the smartest audience in YouTube. Why did I just stop right there, y'all? Wait, you know what? Let me play something real quick. Let me play something for y'all real quick, right? Watch this, y'all. Watch this. I swear to God, y'all. Watch this. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Y'all are going to love me for this one. This is the ultimate. If the prosecution does not impeach Reggie, if the prosecution does not catch this, we know this whole trial is a farce and a phony and a fake, right? We know this for a fact. Watch this. Now, y'all see what I just said, right? Let me break it down one more time, right? Check this out. Let me just read this one part. And you speak about Mr. Wallace's Biggie's entourage there. Were there any members you had mentioned earlier? Southside Crips have been doing security for Bad Boy. Were there any members of the Southside Crips with Mr. Wallace during this incident? Yes. There were approximately 10 to 15 gentlemen that was exiting, and I noticed about 8 to maybe 9 that I've known from the city of Compton, from my law enforcement days. And I did notice one particular individual. And what particular individual did you notice, Roden Rat Jr.? Mr. Davis, Mr. Keefe D. Davis. And does Mr. Davis go by a nickname that you're aware of? Yes, sir. And what nickname is that? Keefe D. And it is fair to say that you knew Mr. Davis to be a member of the Southside Compton Crips during this time period, which is 1996? Yes, sir. I mainly knew him as a gang member, but mainly knew him because he's a major drug player in our city. Okay, so he was somebody that was common knowledge within your city that Mr. Davis wasn't necessarily a shooter as much as somebody who dealt narcotics? Correct. Skip all that, right? Do you recognize the person depicted in grand jury exhibit number 2? Yes, sir. Who is that? Keefe Davis. I knew him as his moniker, but I believe his correct name was Dwayne Keith Davis. You knew him as Keefe D? Keefe D, yes. All right. You had mentioned there was a gun playing during this incident. Is it fair to say that you did not see Mr. Davis with a firearm during that event? No, I didn't see him with a firearm, and nobody actually shot a firearm during this event. No, it was just gentlemen brandished a weapon. And the gentleman with the associated with the Bad Boy record label or with Death Row record label was the gentleman with the associated the gentleman with the associated with the Bad Boy record label or with Death Row record label. Definitely with Bad Boy record label. And he was standing next to who? He was standing in the area with Mr. Davis and the area of Mr. Wallace. Okay, so can you tell us what happened? What exactly what happened? Stop right there, right? Let's go back. Now, y'all remember, this. Tupac died in 96. Biggie died in 97. So Biggie and Tupac are present right now, right? But Reggie said he knew Keefe D. He knew Dwayne Davis. He seen Keefe D. He was with Bad Boy, right? Right? Y'all got me, right? Are y'all following me? Please let me know you following me, right? Reggie said, he identified Keefe D in 1996. He knew Keefe D in 1996, right? Well, guess what Reggie said today on TMZ? Let's see if the prosecution is playing games with us or if they're going to impeach Reggie ass themselves and the defense don't even have to do anything. Check this. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976 allows it made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, common news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair uses are used permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, and personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. I'm using this clip from TMZ for fair use to comment, report, and criticize Reginald Wright Jr. for his lies and research in the Tupac Shakur case. Reggie said he did not. Reggie said he identified Keefe D in 1996 as being with Biggie at the Shrine Auditorium at the Soul Train Awards, right? Reggie identified Keefe D with being with Biggie, standing next to somebody that was brandishing a gun in 1996, and he only recognized one. He definitely recognized one individual, Dwayne Davis, Keefe D, right? He said that, right? Y'all heard him say that, or am I tripping? Okay, now that y'all heard him say it, check this.
People online state that you've known Keefe D for quite a long time. Is that true?
Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. Like I said, I worked in law enforcement from 1985 until 1996. So of course I heard of his name because he had a pretty good reputation as far as being a leader of said in Compton that pushed heavy narcotics. But in any personal interactions with him, I never had with Keefe D.
So you've never met Keefe D before?
In 2012 or 2014 in the city of Corona, his wife was working at a grocery store. It's called Henry's. And I was walking out. I guess he noticed me coming out of the grocery store. He walked up and said, "Hey, little Reg, you know who I am?" And I looked at him and pretty much said, no. And he introduced himself as Keefe D from Compton Southside Crip. And I laughed. It was funny to me because I asked them, they still allow you to claim Compton Southside Crip, knowing that all the allegations and the snitching that he had done on murder rap and a document that I knew of that happened in 1998.
What year did Murder Rap come out, y'all? He runs into KVD 2012, 2014. And he knew about him from the snitching from Murder Rap. Let me see something. What year did Murder Rap come out? Yeah, how did he know that that was Keefe D's wife if he didn't know him? How did he know that was Keefe D's wife that worked? Yo, I'm telling you, if this prosecution plays with us, I'm going to believe that they did not want to solve this crime like Reggie says. Right? Hey, Reggie, you are busted again, you dumb motherfucker. Pardon my that ain't French, but pardon my French. If somebody would say, I would say, pardon my French, if I could, they say, I know French, that's not French. So, Reggie, you just said you reckon, wait, y'all. Wait. If this nigga don't get impeached, if the feds don't pick this nigga up, then we know the government killed Tupac. I hate to say it. If the feds do not pick this nigga up, if the prosecutions don't start looking at this mother effer and impeach him, I hate to say, I'm going to believe that the government killed Tupac. If they don't turn around and turn this on Reggie, the government is going to make me believe they killed Tupac, bro. There's no way this nigga should be out. Let me ask you something, right? He just said he knew of KVD from snitching and Murder Rap in 2014. What year did Murder Rap come out, y'all? 2012, he said 2012 to 2014. What year did Murder Crap come out? Oh, if you need to see all of this just to make sure you understand what I put in. The documentary Murder Rap, Inside the Murders of Tupac and Biggie, was released in 2015. And this is why I don't fuck with Michael Dorsey. This is why I don't mess with Kunta and Karen. Because they know this nigga's lying, and Michael Dorsey helps Reggie in every chance that he get by interviewing everybody that Reggie sends to him. This is why I don't mess with Vlad. Because Vlad knows that Reggie been lying over and over because he contradicts himself in his interviews. But Vlad won't sit there and say, well, Reggie, you told me this, but you saying this. Michael Dorsey has never interviewed Reggie or did a deep dive on Reggie, but did deep dives on everybody else because they all are in on it, allegedly. If he's working with Greg Caden, he's working with Reggie. Murder Rap comes from Reggie. If you watch Murder Rap, Reggie was the #1 suspect. When Greg Caden went to Reggie, Reggie told him Southside killed Biggie in retaliation for getting their money for Tupac. Southside killed Biggie in retaliation for not getting their money for killing Tupac, right? Greg Caden knew this from day one when he went approach Reggie. Now Reggie's telling us all. He didn't know Keefe D. He met him in 2014. And he recognized him because he heard of him because he knew he was a snitch. He said to them, oh, they let you still claim Southside Crip? Because I watched him in Murder Rap. Nigga, Murder Rap didn't come out yet. It didn't come out till the mid 2016. On the wider platforms for us to see it. But it still came out a year after Reggie told about he saw him on Murder Rap. How? How? Man, if the prosecution ain't looking at this, they better rethink this. Why is Reggie lying if he had nothing to do with Tupac's murder? Hey, William Lassane. Hey, Will, you got to call me, Will. Will, why is your boy lying, Will? You trust Reggie, right? You did interviews with Reggie. You told me Reggie had none. Why is Reggie lying, Will? Will, I wish you could open your eyes, brother. Because when I sat down and we had our long conversation, you would not listen to none of my evidence that I tried to give to you. You wouldn't listen to nothing I said. Your goddamn girl in the background, all in your goddamn business. You couldn't even talk to me man on man. No disrespect, Will. No disrespect, Will. You couldn't even talk to me man on man. Your wife is all in your ear. You listening to her. And then y'all don't even hang up the phone and she talking all this stuff about me. And you wouldn't even listen to the evidence that I have for you, brother. And I'm talking to Tupac's cousin. Because I wish he had the brain that Mo Preem has. I wish he could see through the bullshit like Sek can. Will mind is so foggy with goddamn pork butt, he can't even see that this nigga's a bullshit liar. Now, with this whole episode y'all watching right here, why is Tupac cousin William Lassane shutting me down and praising Reggie? He won't even listen to the evidence. You know what? I'm not going to even get emotional. That's his cousin. You know what? That's his cousin. I didn't know Tupac. You know what I mean? And shout out to Billy Garland because he even showed me love and compliments me on my findings and hard work. I'm telling you, man, I could not get through Will for nothing, bro. This nigga girl was all in his head. Yo, when you got, you know what? I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't want to make it look like I'm attacking the family. Because I'm not. Because I got love for all of the people in the family. I'm just upset that Will would not even let me present my evidence to him because he told me, man, Reggie ain't got nothing to do. I don't want to hear that. All right, my nigga. All right, my nigga. All right. But Will, you can hit me up on Instagram anytime, bro, especially if you see this. Especially if I'm showing you all this inconsistency in Reggie's story. Why is Reggie lying if he had nothing to do with your cousin's murder? Why is he lying? He didn't know Keefy D until 2014, Will? And he called him a snitch because he seen it in Murder Rap that didn't come out, Will? Shit break my heart, bro. I should have got my law degree. Then I could have I would have definitely took this case carte blanche. But let me bring that back a little bit. Because hopefully somebody just hit Will and said, yo, you need to come listen to Choke. You not listening to Choke, you should see this Let the evidence speak for itself. Don't listen to me. Just let the evidence speak for itself. Well, it's nothing but love, Will. I just wish you would listen to me, bro. Now listen to this. I just showed y'all. Reggie pointed out Keefe D at the Shrine Auditorium in 1996 in his grand jury testimony. Today, he's impeaching himself by saying he didn't even know Keefe D back then. So if you didn't know Keefe D, how were you able to identify him in 96 at the Shrine Auditorium? Because you setting him up. You setting him up for the murder. You setting him up.
I've seen some people online state that you've known Keefe D for quite a long time. Is that true?
Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. Like I said, I worked in law enforcement from 1985 until 1996. So of course I heard of his name because he had a pretty good reputation as far as being a leader of set in Compton that pushed heavy narcotics. But in any personal interactions with him, I never had with Keefe D.
So you've never met Keefe D before?
In 2012 or 2014 in the city of Corona, his wife was working at a grocery store. It's called Henry's. And I was walking out. I guess he noticed me coming out of the grocery store. He walked up and said, "Hey, little Reg, you know who I am?" And I looked at him and pretty much said, "No." And he introduced himself as Keefe D from Compton Southside Crip. And I laughed. It was funny to me because I asked him, "They still allow you to claim Compton Southside Crip?" Knowing that all the allegations and the snitching that he had done on murder rap and a document that I knew of that happened in 1998, where he was pretty much talking, running his mouth while he was in jail then. And so I thought it was strange that he was still claiming to be a active gang member when he was actually a snitch.
I want to move.
Listen to this snitch calling somebody a snitch. Talking about their pot calling the kettle black. So he didn't meet Keefe D until 2014 after he seen him in Murder Rap, and then it come out to 2015. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. He didn't meet Keefe D until 2014, and he's seen him in Murder Rap in 2015. You can't make this lying ass nigga stuff up. This nigga will be impeached, and his ass is going to be sitting in jail right next to Keefe D. Watch. He's going to be impeached before the trial's over, and I hope they lock his ass right up right there and send him right in that county with Keefe D, so Keefe D can sit there and look him in his goddamn face. Now, let's take it back. Yes, there was approximately 10 to 15 gentlemen that was exiting, and I noticed about 8 to maybe 9 that were there that I've known from the city of Compton, from my law enforcement days. And I did notice one particular individual. And what particular individual did you notice in 1996 at the Shrine Auditorium at the Soul Train Awards? Who would that be, Reggie, that you noticed out of all these niggas, out of all these people out there, you only know one particular individual? Right here, y'all see it? And I did notice one particular individual out of all these people, he only noticed one particular individual. And what particular individual did you notice, Reggie? Mr. Davis, Mr. Keith Davis, or Dwayne Davis. How did you recognize him when you didn't meet him into the future 18 years later? Somebody help me out here. How could he recognize Keefy D if he never met him into 2014? Is that 2 impeachments in this one just alone? In this one show? Did I impeach him already twice? The feds better be waiting for Reggie as soon as he get off that stand and lock his ass up. That makes no sense. Why is he lying? Hold on. Oh, I got one even better for y'all. Now, here's another thing, right? Didn't Reggie always tell us that he wasn't a suspect in Tupac's murder? Right? He said, oh, I don't give a F what y'all say about Biggie Smalls. It just bothers me when y'all say I had something to do with Tupac. Well, today Reggie admits that he was a suspect in Tupac's murder. Watch this.
I never had with Keefy D.
So you've never met Keefy D before?
In 2012 or 2014 in the city of Corona, his wife was working at a grocery store. It's called Henry's. And I was walking out. I guess he noticed me coming out of the grocery store. He walked up and said, hey, little Reg, you know who I am? And I looked at him and pretty much said, no. And he introduced himself as Keefy D from Compton Southside Crip. And I laughed. It was funny to me because I asked him, they still allow you to claim Compton Southside Crip, knowing that all the allegations and the snitching that he had done on murder rap and a document that I knew of that happened in 1998, where he was pretty much talking, running his mouth while he was in jail then. And so I thought it was strange that he was still claiming to be a active gang member when he was actually a snitch.
I want to move on to a topic that a lot of people are talking about, where obviously Keefy D standing trial, and you have been battling accusations that you had a hand in Tupac's murder for quite some time now. And I'm wondering, has anyone from law enforcement ever said that you were anything other than a witness? Is there anything you'd like to say to rebuke those claims?
Oh, no one. And that's why I don't. And that's why I don't worry about them. I laugh at them because no one from law enforcement has ever accused me to have anything to do with the death of Tupac Shakur, other than a disgraced police officer by the name of Russell Poole, who unfortunately died because he had bad health, but he no longer with us. And I'm sure if he was out today, he would do like Nick Broomfield did and pretty much admit that they got it wrong.
Why do you think these accusations came about? Why do you think people were so dead set on you as opposed to Keefe D?
Well, when you say me, you got to say Reggie and Suge Knight, because people want to believe the theory because we was running Death Row at the time, that we didn't want to pay.
Nigga, who the hell is we? In 96, you was not a partner with Suge. Where is this we? And why did you have to bring Suge up? You was a suspect. Suge was in the car with him. You was the one that was nowhere to be found all around. This nigga said talking about, oh, me and Suge. Oh, no. Oh, so now you admitting that you was a suspect by Russell Poole. Why does the prosecution has a suspect in Tupac's murder as a witness? As their number one witness. This corrupt ass nigga.
People were so dead set on you as opposed to Keefe D.
Well, when you say me, you got to say Reggie and Suge Knight, because people want to believe the theory because we was running Death Row at the time, that we didn't want to pay him, that we owed him money. And that all that issue got worked out with his mother. And we continued to do business once all those issues got worked out as far as the financial situation in the music business. And once people got to the truth, the audits were done, the attorneys looked over, and the accountants or whoever they used looked over the books. They came up with a number, agreed upon it, and we did about 4 or 5 albums while Suge was in prison under my watch. When I took over, because we was running Death Row at the time, that we didn't want to pay him, that we owed him money. And that all that issue got worked out with his mother. And we continued to do business once all those issues got worked out as far as the financial situation in the music business. And once people got to the truth, the audits were done, the attorneys looked over, and the accountants or whoever they used looked over the books. They came up with a number, agreed upon it, and we did about 4 or 5 albums while Suge was in prison under my watch when I took over running the company after that. And so it sounds good. There had documentaries, people that had no dealings with Tupac have ever said that. Only people that wanted to profit off of this situation and make documentaries will say those things. And unfortunately,
people who profit off of Tupac and make documentaries that didn't know Tupac, like Greg Caden and Mike Dorsey with Murder Rap. That's who you talking about? That's who you talking about? People that want to profit off of Tupac and make money off of documentaries that never knew Tupac. You talking about Murder Rap, right? You got to be talking about Murder Rap. Even though I know you sitting there throwing shots at RJ Bond. That's what he really talking about. But you telling me the other white boy, Mike Dorsey, and the white boy, Greg Caden, don't make it just because RJ Bond is a white boy or a white guy, you know what I'm saying, that he's just doing it. What about your boys, Greg Caden and Michael Dorsey? Pac ain't know these people. What are you talking about, Reggie? And now you admitting, after we all said Pac was going to order Death Row, he wanted to get out, he wanted his money. Now, they only said that I killed Tupac because Tupac wanted, his money. But once we gave him his money and we worked out a number and everything, we wasn't a suspect anymore because we pay Afeni Shakur money? This nigga is going to jail. FBI. I hope y'all got his phone tapped, because I know this nigga running his goddamn mouth.
Shakur, other than a disgrace.
Tupac's murder for quite some time now. And I'm wondering, has anyone from law enforcement ever said that you were anything other than a witness? Is there anything you'd like to say to rebuke those claims?
Oh, no one. And that's why I don't. And that's why I don't worry about them. I laugh at them because no one from law enforcement has ever accused me to have anything to do with the death of Tupac Shakur, other than a disgraced police officer by the name of Russell Poole, who unfortunately died because he had bad health, but he no longer with us. And he, I'm sure if he was out today, he would do like Nick Broomfield did and pretty much admit that they got it wrong.
Why do you think these accusations came about? Why do you think people were so dead set on you as opposed to Keefe D?
Well, when you say me, you got to say Reggie and Suge Knight, because people want to believe the theory because we was running Death Row at the time, that we didn't want to pay him, that we owed him money. And that all that issue got worked out with his mother. And we continued to do business once all those issues got worked out as far as the financial on the financial situation in the music business. And once people got to the truth, the audits were done, the attorneys looked over, and the accountants or whoever they used looked over the books. They came up with a number, agreed upon it, and we did about 4 or 5 albums while Suge was in prison under my watch when I took over running the company after that. And so it sounds good. There are documentaries, people that had no dealings with Tupac have ever said that.
See, the difference between R.J. Bond and Murder Crap is R.J. Bond was Frank's friend and collaborated with Frank to do the documentary, who Frank knew Tupac, worked with Tupac, was with Tupac when Tupac got killed. So saying that R.J. Bond, even though you're not naming him, we know who you're referring to, didn't know Tupac and this, that, he knew Frank. And him and Frank was boys, and they worked on that together. Okay? So you must be referring to Murder Crap when you say that, because Frank put those documentaries together with R.J. Bond. R.J. Bond just benefited because of he had a relationship with Frank. It's not like he went and did these documentaries without Frank. He got Frank, Michael Moore, and them in his joint. Murder Crap, Greg Caden went and sat down to the premiere of Frank and R.J. Bond's documentary, sat there, watched a documentary, got their hustle, and went and did their same thing. But the difference is, Greg Caden stole information from the police department and did it. Frank and them did it off of facts and living it. So you can sit there and try to discredit R.J. Bond as far as not knowing Tupac and trying to make money, but let's not discredit his relationship with Frank, nigga. Nice try. So clearly you talking about Murder Crap when you make that statement, right? And in 2014, when you met Keefe D, was that when you got his phone number to start doing publicity for him, to book him on Vlad, to book him on Cam Capone, to book him on the Art of Dialogue? That's when you met him in 2014. That's when he gave you his number for you to call him up on the live and say, hey, it's Tupac's anniversary. Keefe D, what are you doing? When you met him at the supermarket, that's when he gave you his number, and that's when you became his publicist? Because you didn't know him in 96, even though you fingered him, and the only one individual you knew in 96 at the Soul Train Award was Keefy D, but you just said on TMZ you didn't meet him until 2014. So if everything that was going on with you was on the up and up, on you and your daddy, why the F are you and your daddy lying? If y'all don't follow me on Instagram, go to my Instagram after this show. I'll put a nice mashup together of Reggie Daddy saying that Reggie called him several times. I show you several times. Reggie Dad saying Reggie called him and told him Orlando Anderson was the shooter the night of within the hour. I put that together on my Instagram because I'm not going to put it here for niggas to flag it. But it's there. It's going on my TikTok. It's going on my X. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can see these guys are lying. And if he had nothing to do with Tupac's murder, why is he still lying?